A lot of these girls that are in the porn industry are also being trafficked. A lot of these girls in these strip clubs. I mean, now, you know, with our music it's been for the last several years, in our rap music and, you know, secular music, being a stripper is glorified. And I'm not coming against somebody that's doing that profession, but I'm not judging. Let me say that. I'm not judging. Not passing judgment. I'm just saying that in that profession, you put yourself in a position to be exploited. Because, I mean, just watch the movie that I talked about, When Love Kills, the Felicia Blakely story. She was 16 years. Watch the movie that I talked about, When Love Kills, the Felicia Blakely story. She was 16 years old, single mom, had a really rough childhood, had a pretty bad relationship with her mom on and off, and so she ran away. And, you know, she became an exotic dancer. And that is where her pimp found her, in the club. You know, that's where he connected with her and started promising to do all of this stuff for her. And that's, you know, and now she's a grown woman, but she's serving 3 life terms because he convinced her to murder 3 people. Because typically a pimp will set a nightly quota. So these girls are required to bring in, they said on average between $500 to $1,000 a night. You know, a pimp makes, or a trafficker, and I want to start saying trafficker because this society nowadays has so glorified the word pimp like it's a good thing, and it's not. So I'm gonna go back and say trafficker. A trafficker typically brings in between $100,000 and $300,000 a year because he's oppressing typically 4 to 6 females or victims, and each victim typically has to bring home each evening between $500 and $1,000. And if they don't meet that quota, a lot of them don't get to come in until they do. You know, and if they do meet the quota, then if they're lucky, they'll get to sleep on the floor of his hotel room. You know, so they're treated like trash. They're treated like dogs. Worse than dogs. You know, and I was surprised in the article that I was reading from Psychology Today, how they highlighted and pointed out the fact that movies, and this is an old movie, so most kids probably won't remember the movie Pretty Woman, but your parents will, with Julia Roberts. You know, in her profession, they kind of glamorized being a prostitute. But when you look at it in reality, there's no prostitute that gets the happily ever after. Unless she gets out with her life.
Right.
And most of them do not get out with their life. You know, that movie gave the impression that there's this happily ever after, and the rich guy, the rich John, you know, falls in love and marries her, and she, from that point on, she gets to come home to the penthouse suite. No. That's not true. And, people, the responsibility the media has that's a whole different show. because there are so many different things in music and movies and television that are glamorized, that give kids false impressions of the reality and the harshness, the harsh realities of some of these situations. And then they think, well, oh, I'm going to go out and do this like this movie, or I'm going to go out and be a dancer like, you know, and you don't have a clue what you really are getting yourself into.
Right.
You know, and you think, oh, my parents are trying to keep me from having fun. They're trying to keep me from having a life. No, they're trying to keep you alive. They're trying to keep you alive. The goal is to keep y'all alive, not addicted to drugs, off the pole. You know, and again, I'm not judging people that choose that profession. But a lot of those girls don't choose that profession. That's my point. They're coerced into it. You know, they're seduced into it. And that's the psychology of the recruitment in human trafficking. The majority of those victims have been pretty much seduced into that profession. And so psychologically, they've bought in. If you don't understand what seduced means, ask your parents or ask Google. My mom would say go look it up, but I'm going to say ask your mama or ask Google. Because, you know, it really is, it's really important to understand that there are people, there are treacherous people out here, there are evil people out here who are playing mind games to gain for their own benefit. Like, I mean, I just said the average pimp makes between $100,000 and $300,000 a year. You know, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. You know, it's just ridiculous, and it's more than ridiculous. It's angering, because, you know, you think about all these kids out here who are being subjected and used and manipulated and abused. You know, it just, as a parent, as a teacher, as a former social worker, all of that just, I have like a range of emotions that I can't even explain right now.
Right.
You know, it's really it's psychological, physical, and emotional coercion. You know, the article from Psychology Today says human trafficking victims are bound by invisible chains. They are controlled through physical, psychological, and emotional coercion. You know, and this is corroborated by research. Many trafficking victims have been seduced into their circumstances by traffickers who pose as adoring suitors and have stayed in their situation out of love for their abuser. You know, we're talking about bullying, and I can't think of anything worse than this in terms of bullying.
Me neither.
You know, I would highly recommend that everybody go to, you know, Google and get educated on human trafficking, the warning symptoms, the warning signs, the tips. And I have posted on my Teen Scene 10 Facebook page. You can search me, or you can just do @Teen Scene, capital SCENE, and then the number 10. The @ symbol, TEEN, capital SCENE, the number 10. And I have posted all of that information, about the grooming process, and the article about the Psychology Today article about the psychology of human trafficking recruitment. You know, I just really, I just really want my teens out here to be up on game, so that when somebody tries to run that game on you, you know to get as far away from them as you possibly can very quickly. You know, and that you don't fall for the okie doke. It's really important. It's really important that you don't fall for the okie doke. So, again, I pray that this segment has been enlightening for you, and I thank you for your time. And Miss B is signing off for the Teen Scene 10 on the Terri Graham Radio Show.